fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up for something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello. Welcome to the Chrissie Mayr podcast. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. You know where to find us. Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Rockfin. We're all over the place. Oh my God. Just 1 week until Halloween. And my God, less than 2 weeks till our election. Although a lot of people are already voting. Before I bring on my fabulous guest, we have a sponsor to discuss. That's right. It's the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. What is the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt, you ask? Oh, this little video is going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more.
U.S. Treasure Hunt. We've delivered winners from all over the U.S., awarding thousands in prize money. We've hidden 10 coins in public. And for the first time, we give the clues to their exact location in a comic book format. 10 states, 10 coins, 10 clues, $10,000. One comic book. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. The hunt begins October 15th. Order now. thegreatustreasurehunt.com.
Ooh, you're probably thinking, I'm a grown man or woman. Why would I do a scavenger hunt? Because it's fun and you can win money. That's why. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt returns in 2024 with $10,000 up for grabs. They've hidden 10 coins in 10 states, and the clues to their exact location are in a little comic book pamphlet thing, much like this, that mails October 22nd. So they've already begun mailing these little puppies out. Order yours now with promo code CMP to save $5 on any package. Go to thegreatustreasurehunt.com now for full details. You can team up with hunters from across the country to split the prize money. $500 for you, $500 for them. The coins are distributed all over the country. There's 5 that are in states west of and east of the Mississippi, 5 different time zones. Either Hawaii or Alaska is guaranteed to have a coin. At least 2 states that border the Pacific Ocean, at least 2 states that border the Atlantic Ocean, at least 2 Gulf Coast states, at least 2 Great Lakes states, at least 2 state capitals. They're all over. These coins, they're all over. And they're probably hidden right now. Only 2 states that border each other. The coins are hidden, not buried, so you don't need a shovel or a metal detector. The clues are hidden in this comic book, 10 puzzles on 2-page spreads. You can use the text, the illustration, or possibly both together to find an exact location in the U.S. The Great U.S. Treasure Hunt has given away over 40 grand in the past, and this year they're going to give away at least $10,000 more. Coins are similar to challenge coins, so they have they're thick. They're like a thick pog with a unique serial number on the rim. All books will be mailed via first class mail starting on October 22nd. So get in. Don't miss your chance. There's no guarantee what day that will arrive to you. That depends on your local post office. No clues will be released on the website, YouTube, or any other social media for at least 2 months. So solve the puzzles in the book. Partner with someone to find the coin and enjoy your victory. Go to thegreatustreasurehunt.com now and use promo code CMP to save $5 on your package and get out there, get hunting, get that money, get out into the world, guys. Put your phone down, okay? Breathe some air, okay? I should do it. Thank you. Someone in the chat has already called me a MILF. It's a good day. It's a very good day, and I'm excited to. Usually I have to beg for those kind of compliments. It's a very good day. We have somebody popping their CMP podcast. Well, CMP, that's redundant. That's like ATM machine. Popping their Chrissie Mayr podcast cherry today. Just found out he is a Chip Chipperson fan. Used to work on Crowder and is a friend of my friend Cora Black Garrett. So God, we have so much to talk about. Welcome Wade Stotts of The Wade Show with Wade.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you, Chrissy.
Watching you in your studio there is reminding me how much I need to stock up on non-perishables in case
absolutely.
the world ends.
Yeah, we got screws and tools. We've got light bulbs, very helpfully labeled. Yeah. The bunker is a great spot. I don't think there's a coin that's stuck down here, but I'd be happy to look around. I'm sure that sounds like they hit them everywhere. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to get on my treasure hunt.
Some guy found one underneath a slide in a
Oh, cool.
playground. Yeah. Maybe they're stuck to like various monuments, at least the ones that haven't been pushed down yet. So
Yeah. A little treat
excited.
for whoever decides to knock down the monument. Yeah.
You know where they should put a coin is at the George Floyd Memorial, because I went last year. It is the shittiest thing I've ever seen. Like the most sun drenched. You know what I mean? You know when you see something
Yeah.
like a video that's been in the window too long at an old Blockbuster and it's completely like sun bleached.
Mhm.
It was like that, except everything. It was like a wet garage sale. Like nothing had. I was like, if this is your guy,
Right.
This is how we're honoring Saint Floyd. This is not good. Everything's wet, wet pictures. Everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
Everything's droopy.
Yeah, they're nothing
Not
compared to
great.
what Derek Chauvin did, but yeah, sure. They're not treating him very well.
Why don't we have a big copper knee? I don't know. That you can pose under and take photos.
See, there we go. I thought that's what the thing was in Chicago. The big was that not a knee?
The bean.
No.
Imagine
No.
if it was a
Okay.
knee.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if there's a Derek Chauvin memorial? Where is he from?
Oh, I guess Minneapolis, same place.
Oh, dang. We
Yeah.
could put that right next to it. See which one gets more visitors. It was just the shittiest thing I'd ever seen. So whoever's in charge of upkeep is slacking over there.
Right. But somebody should put a coin there for sure.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh my God. Wade, it's good to have you. I've been perusing your YouTube channel. I like it. I love it. You're very well spoken. You're very bearded. And it makes sense that we have a mutual friend in Mr. Quarter Black Garrett, whom you met while working for the Crowder Show. How was that experience?
Yeah, that was great. Go ahead.
Introduction to the sort of like political commentary world, or
I was working a like answering phones job before that, but I had some live audio experience, so I came in as the sound guy. So I had enough part-time audio stuff to make it look like a continuous resume, so I fooled them into thinking I could run sound. And so I got in there in early 2019, and then after that moved into doing writing and stuff like that, and was able to move into that. And then so 2019, then 2020 hit. So I had a year under my belt of working on a daily news show before, pandemic, Floyd riots, to bring that up again, and then election and all that craziness. But it was fun. We had a good time. And it was one of the only, I realized as I was doing stuff there that I was one of the only people able to write sketches about like coolers full of ballots going into arenas. I was like, I'm one of the only people who can do a sketch about that. That's great. Like Stephen Colbert is not going to do a coolers full of ballots sketch. But we had a lot of fun doing that.
Okay, cool. People probably asking, what was it like to work with Stephen? Like, was it long hours? Did you feel like, seen, heard, felt, appreciated?
Felt is an odd one. We had a great, I had a great time. Stephen and I became really good friends while I was there, and we got to, it was busy. So it was the kind of workplace where you were always there and also always thinking about it. Like Dave Landau talked about after he left, how like he would be writing, like get an idea for a sketch at night and then have to write it by morning. I remember days where I was getting in, and we had a show, we streamed, so we were Central Time. And so we would stream at 9 a.m. and I would get in and have to like be able to write some kind of sketch or two that we could write, film, edit, air by 9. So that was a blast. Like I always admired the like the comedy writers like who worked at Conan O'Brien or whatever. I was a big late night fan. And so those guys who could do a show every single day and just somehow fill up the first half hour with new comedy was I don't know. The like high output guys were always fun to me. So it was fun to be able to be a part of that kind of rhythm, at least.
I worked on Conan, but I was more of a coffee getter than a sketch writer.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I was a meager intern, but one of the best experiences still.
Yeah. Was that in LA or
No, it was when he was
New
still
York?
in New York,
Okay. Yeah.
like a million years ago. Yeah, very exciting. Good
Oh,
times.
cool. What
I
year would that have
remember
been? That's
that was that was 2005.
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like,
God,
yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
like
seem that
golden
long
era.
ago, but it
That-
is.
yeah.
That's almost 20 years ago. Yikes. Showing
So this is like post Andy Richter,
Mhm.
pre Tonight Show. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was like a sweet spot golden age there. Were you there for a whole year? Or
Yeah, I
did
was
you
there for a whole, semester. It was like half a
got it.
year. It was basically
Okay.
like, I think January to June maybe,
Okay.
and
I was
it was
curious if you overlapped with the writer's strike episodes at all, but it sounded like
ooh,
that was before
gosh,
that.
I don't know. I
Writer's strike
wouldn't
was
even
'07, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, would I have even known what the hell's going on? I just was like very excited to be in the building and have a name
100%.
tag and like have something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, did I learn very much? No. I was just internships, it's like you're just there. You're just
Yeah.
you're getting a credit. You're just
Mhm.
there to sponge it all up. But you really do remember the people who were nice to you for
I'm
sure.
sure. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that like being comfortable around show business is a big part of it, where it's oh, this is a job and everybody shows up and gets their work in. And it's not just something that's on TV. It's like, oh, this is everybody's busting their butts to get this show made. I'm sure
Mhm.
that helps is also part of it.
Oh yeah, it really does. Okay, tell me about how you came to be I guess sort of like, yeah, in the investigative well, you're kind of an independent journalist now doing your own thing and you
Sure.
have the background in Crowder. Was that your kind of first big gig? Or I mean, did your parents kind of raise you a certain way to be a certain political persuasion or like, you know,
Yeah.
did you ever have a time as like a filthy liberal? Give me the
I was
feeling.
yeah. I grew up in the South, and where most people are kind of conservative by instinct. But I also like, I mean, I went to public school, and so you're like basically kind of being shaped into a lib there. So it was kind of a mix, and I wasn't like politically aware at the time, which it would be kind of odd if I was like 12 years old and just like super political. But
Yeah, you'd be a loser. It's like,
yeah,
look,
yeah, but I would like I got into the news. I would watch the news when I was in high school and got a little bit there. But I think that the going into politics was kind of a reactive thing because I think politics became interested in me. You know, it's that kind of thing where I there's very little entertainment now. I'm mostly interested in entertainment stuff, like we were talking about Conan and stuff. But the level at which you can do just like Conan O'Brien silly comedy is getting harder. Like that's a smaller
mm,
zone to occupy. Like some people do it well. Like Nate Bargatze, I think, is a great example of a guy who doesn't get political at all, mostly observational, but has kept an audience. But everybody kind of knows that he mostly appeals to Trump supporters.
right.
But if you say that out loud, or if he made a political joke, then it would kind of break the illusion at some level. But which I admire. I'm again big
It
fan of his.
seems really hard not to
Yeah.
let your feelings be known, especially
Yeah,
this election cycle.
of
Geez,
course,
like
yeah, and like if comics are like just supposed to be the people who are noticing stuff, it's an odd position to tell yourself, be sure not to notice anything that's going on politically. So I think that I think the entertainment stuff is where I'm most interested, but the political side of it was recognizing, okay, everything's kind of becoming more pitched. Everything is like the charges on either side are becoming more strong. And I wasn't going to like pretend to be a lib and like try to get a job at Colbert's show. Because like what's the best case scenario? I write like 3 jokes and like
you're
maybe 1 joke a
miserable.
year. Yeah. And like a joke gets on the air, but it was just not offensive enough to get past all the filters.
Your best case scenario is you get to wear the vaccine costume and jump up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, I would look great in one of those though, by the way. But no, it was, yeah, it was a strange time because like I think 2014 is when I graduated college. And then so when I got out, that was when a lot of the late night shows were changing hands. So Conan was still doing his TBS show, which, is great. But like I think Seth Meyers got a show and Colbert got the late show. So like those were the times where like non-political late night was just not going to be a thing. And not just that I wanted to be non-political, but that I just didn't want to be lying all the time. And that just doesn't sound like a fun life.
It's hard to keep that up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, and so being able to do what was close to the schedule of a late night show at the Crowder show was really fun and seemed like a really fun opportunity. And we got to do a lot of fun sketches and yeah, I wish I would have overlapped with Dave Landau. I left right as he was coming in, but he and I have gotten to know each other since then, and I've been able to go on Normal World. But I'm a big Dave fan, and yeah, all those friendships that were there, I still hold on to, and yeah, it's great.
Dave is awesome. I know him. He used to be Anthony Cumia's co-host at Compound Media, and I had a show there too till they fired all of us this summer. And yeah, Dave was great. They fired us all, and Anthony got with Gavin's network censored because I think he just wanted to not be in charge of a company anymore. So good for him. And he's earned it. He's worked hard his whole life. Like it was done extremely messy, but who gives a shit? Nothing lasts forever. So it's like,
yeah, everybody kind of knew. I'm sure everybbe knew that if you make Anthony Cumia your boss, it's like communication is going to be a little odd, or it's not going to be everybody sitting around in ties and desks. And
no, not at all. Like he really has like a comedian mind, and he got to where he got because he's the talent, not because he has boss pants. So there just never really was a boss. So but it was like a great experience, and I was always so loyal to them and give them thanks for everything. Like that really was my start into podcasting. So definitely like an awesome time. And like, yeah, I miss seeing everybody. I miss the booth boys, but they're around. Everyone's still alive. So yeah, it does make me a little sad when I think about it. But I was only there once a week. So and I miss the little bleacher creatures. I miss the little guys that would show up. They were like raccoons that you would keep feeding, and then after a time they would just let themselves in. And then what I loved is like the security, there was just never security, even after like a couple of us got robbed, but that's what made it like, small town values. Just let yourself in.
A little small town up in a building in New York City. Yeah.
Yeah. And I miss Chip Chipperson. And I love that you were a fan of him. Yeah. Chip Chipperson was a character played by Jim Norton, who's another great comedian, and just did it for you. And how would you even describe Chip Chipperson to a lay person? Like it's like this kooky character.
It's so obvious that Chip started as just a voice he would do.
Mm-hmm.
And like just kind of became a character gradually over the years at O&A.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Chip loved puns. He'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" And then like, if you said a pun, he'd be like, "What did you just say?" Like, could you say that again? God, I can't even do it.
Right. Yeah, he loved the most like childish jokes, but like would rejoice with these like this vulgar language at the silliest little wordplay joke. It was great.
That's vulgar.
There's like a child in the middle of this kind of like trying to be a tough guy thing.
The inner child really was in the driver's seat. From Terrace House Guy, hey Chrissy, just passing the good vibes forward. Ooh, thank you. I felt that. I felt something vibrating, and I was like, what's going on here? What I want to talk to Wade about is, and I had Adam Coleman on yesterday to talk about how Kamala and the Democrats are just they're showing their hand as they panic so much. I mean, they're only losing maybe 5-10% of black male votes, but she didn't think was a huge deal. But they show you how big a deal is by how much they're freaking out. And another thing that I didn't really realize until you see how much the left and the establishment media talks about it is the effect of social media, and I think namely Twitter, the effect that it's having on the election. One look at mainstream media, if you just like Google effect of social media on election, you get tons and tons of articles about how Harris is vastly outspending Trump on social media. And it's true because I don't know about you guys, but when I scroll through my Twitter, I see so many tweets from Kamala. I see so many tweets from Tim Walz, and so many tweets from like celebrities or whatever influencers she's got on payroll, just singing her praises. But then you also see like how Republicans push social media companies to stop fighting they're still like running this election disinformation bullshit. They're still talking about, oh, we got to stop hate speech. It's like the left has really lost sight of free speech as a value, and it's very interesting this election cycle to see Trump and to see Kamala like on podcasts. And I figured this would have been something part of the last election cycle, but it's unavoidable this time around. And I just want to know, your feelings on that, because I know when I
Yeah.
see these candidates on these podcasts, I'm just like, wow, it just shows you the importance.
Right.
I mean, not this podcast, of course, but
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
ones.
I like to think that what we're doing right now is very important. But yeah, on the podcast point, the 2020 would have been an odd time for anybody to do a podcast. Like everybody was only doing remote stuff. And so if they showed up, and even when they showed up on late night shows, it was through a Zoom meeting or whatever. But a lot of the power of some of those in-person podcasts, like I think Theo Vaughn just had JD Vance on. And Theo, I think, only does in-person interviews, which is, and so people have spent hours and hours and hours with Theo Vaughn in their car, like while they're getting ready, while they're taking a shower, and Theo Vaughn's interviewing
He's
a Border
there.
Patrol agent or whatever. And so like Theo, at some level, they trust him. And it's not like these are different from the celebrity endorsements, because the celebrity endorsements are just like Michael Keaton talking to an iPhone. And that's just different. It's like doing a minute-long clip is not going to be the same thing as I have trusted this person for a long time, and now they're talking directly with this person in a way that you can't really edit. And so if they did, you could probably tell, or if the conversation got awkward, then the podcaster would go, "Oh, great, the conversation's getting awkward. We're going to press here," like a good interviewer anyone would do. But yeah, like the unedited format, the level of trust people have, and the fact that we're not in the middle of a shutdown means that travel can happen. People can sit down, do interviews. And I think part of it is that 2020 people felt miserable. And so anybody who voted against Trump probably just voted against feeling miserable. And I think that what's happening right now is like people are feeling miserable. And so they're voting against feeling miserable. And it just happens to be the opposite of the guy who they were voting against last time, which is a bizarre thing. But yeah, the media point is huge. And I don't know if we will ever know how important it was that Elon bought Twitter when he did. Because that was that was 2022, I think.
I think so.
If he would have waited, then we wouldn't have had enough. Like even if he would have still done it, but pushed off the deal another year, or had, it would not have had the level of impact that it's had. And like I think, Trump going on Rogan and stuff like that. You see these random appearances popping up that I don't know. People just care about those more, and they can reach further. Than they were able to in 2020. Everybody's kind of on edge and scared of what you could say and what you couldn't say, because they'd been censored about COVID information stuff, but not the same level is happening right now. And so folks have just, I don't know. I'm thankful that it's bizarre that Trump, the like most memeable man alive, like who made his name in real estate and then entertainment, is running against Kamala, who barely sounds like I can't imagine how Kamala passed the bar exam. Like how many jobs has she had?
That's how. No.
Well, how many jobs has she had where the entire job is speaking publicly? And she
like all of them, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, exactly. And I, as a, like everybody who has done public speaking knows the feeling that she's having when things are unraveling, and just goes, "Oh no, I'm losing him. What do I do?" And you can just see
Yeah.
that in every single interview she does. it's
Yes.
yeah,
That sort of hot-faced panic of like,
yeah,
I didn't study for the pop quiz kind of thing.
right.
This is a great thread from Adam Coleman, who I had on last night. Last night's CNN town hall confirmed everything I suspected about Kamala Harris, even when I was a Democrat. She's an unimpressive politician promoted by the media to be adored, and she's she's extremely uncomfortable facing the mildest pushback or requiring her to go off script. This is where Trump excels. You know, he'll who
Totally.
knows if he'll have the time, but if he had the time, he could do a 3-hour Rogan. We could listen to him
Right.
talk for that long.
Hmm.
Kamala can't do more than 25 minutes. The more we hear from her, the less we like her. He goes on to say,
Yeah.
watching this town hall, like it's easy to get caught up in her non-answers and absolute refusal to answer basic questions that any politician running for president would face. But I couldn't help watching her body language. There are moments when she physically squirms as she searches for a canned response to give Anderson Cooper. She's in a friendly environment on CNN, and Anderson absolutely hates her opponent. But even his basic questions make her squirm. I want to play like a little bit of this clip so you guys can see what I mean. And this is friendly territory. She should be thriving.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know,
You're not a
make
parent.
lots of
You've never
mistakes.
given birth, Kamala. You're a stepmom. Do you know how much response? I'm a stepmom too, before I was a actual mom, and
Yeah.
it's very minimal. Okay, you're not rearing anyone. You're not. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, and everybody knows that, but she has to say the thing. It's that she's so fake that it doesn't register as fake to her. Like
You guys know.
she
You're all parents. I mean, I'm not, but
if you've ever raised a child, like I haven't, but you have, yeah, no,
I'm
it's
sure.
bizarre.
I'm sure you guys have.
Too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am
Ugh.
well versed on
Ugh.
issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political?
It reminds me so much of that girl that was, I think it was a Miss America thing, and they were like, they asked her a question, and she just
Right.
panicked. She was like, I believe there are people in this world who don't have access to maps and the education and the Iraq and it
Yeah.
was like this blonde chick. It went
And like,
viral.
yeah, and like the content of what she's saying is, yeah, it's hard to discern, but at some level, it's maybe my only mistake is that I should be more prepared to answer questions. It's like that's the question. The question is, what's your mistake? It's like, well, maybe I should have questions more.
I've
Yeah.
I've heard her on other interviews say, "Oh, I guess my biggest weakness is that I have no weakness. I guess I'm just such a nerd. I
Yeah.
really love to like look into things and
Well, that, yeah,
research."
and that was one. Yeah, it's where she said something about. Yeah, she was saying it takes me too long to make decisions sometimes, and it's like you're running for president. There are going to be like high pressure situations where you need to be able to go this, not that. Not that she's ever going to be running anything, but
She's
she
not
needs
gonna
to
be in
come off
charge
that
of
way.
shit. She
Right.
is going. She's just another puppet,
Yeah,
just like
and I don't.
old
Yeah,
Biden.
I love the idea that Kamala is a real policy nerd. I think that's yeah, the most bizarre. Like, oh, I just
She's
have to really think about what's going
She's
on.
so busy nerding, she can't like affect any change. Adam goes on to say, to be fair, politicians can't give you 100% answer to questions from the audience. One man asked how much money she'd use to deal with migrants, and she really couldn't give him a number because there are too many factors. However, he had other questions. His central concern was the migrant situation, how she was going to handle the ones who were here already, not the ones who could potentially come in. She couldn't provide him a basic answer. Kamala said Kamala has physical tells as to how she's feeling and her comfort level. The reason she gives the word salad is not because she's dumb, but because she's either nervous or ill prepared or both. She even slouches while standing up, which is a sign of lacking in confidence. The reason this matters is because exactly what you said, Wade, is because The hypothetical call in the middle of the night a president might receive, you're required to give a certain answer as to how to handle a critical situation that's happening domestically or internationally. There are moments that make or break a leader's legacy and the trajectory of the country. If she can't stand the pressure of a simple and predictable reply to her answer from a friendly journalist like Anderson Cooper, do you trust her not to break apart when lives are on the line? And it makes you think like, well, God, if it's not her, then who is going to be handling that?
Right. Well, the
Uh,
whole reason, like when Biden came out, when Biden dropped out, we all made fun of the idea that he was dropping out of running for president, but he was going to stay president because running for president is harder than being president, I guess. But now, like Kamala is failing at the job that Joe Biden dropped out of, and the only job being running. So if she's failing at running, maybe they're just hoping that you know actually running the country, believing the same premise that they had earlier, that running the country is easier than running the country.
yeah, her whole shtick is I'm not Trump. That's it.
Yeah,
So when that's
yeah,
your whole thing, it's hard to answer questions.
right. Did
What
you
we
see?
forget about
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, what'd you say?
I was going to say I saw a tweet last night that Tim Walz tweeted something like, you mentioned the men appeal earlier, and he said, "I want to talk to all the guys for a second."
I
And
saw that.
do
I
you
saw
see
that. Oh my
this?
God. I just responded to that today. It was like, I want to talk to the guys here. If you have a daughter or a woman in your life that you care about, this election is about their freedom. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're pro-abortion. What about like those potential women?
Right,
Does that
totally.
not
And
count?
yes, and like even when he goes, "I want to talk to the guys for a second," the next sentence is, "Think about all the ladies going on here." Like the ladies are out there. And it's like they can't talk to guys as guys for just a second. And I think like this goes back to the idea that at some level, like politics right now, turning it all into a gender war is a big
It's so
mistake.
weak. It's
It's
so
so
weak.
ugly. It's
They're
weak and
blaming
yeah,
Black men
like
for being sexist. That's why they're not going for Kamala. They're blaming white men for being sexist for not going for Kamala. It's like,
right.
ugh.
Right. And like the best case scenario, they just like guilt husbands who were going to vote for Trump into voting for Kamala. But at the same point, they've like tried to cause a rift in a family. So like a man and a woman, we recognize like, and Trump's not doing the gender war thing at all. Like they did this,
Exactly what they did with
yeah,
Hillary and Trump. It was the same thing.
exactly. And like the New York Times, did you see the New York Times headline that was Trump's bro whispering? Trump's bro whispering may win him this election. Um,
God, yeah,
and it's
that's
like
what it is.
he's not going around and just going like, "Hey dudes, let's talk about your rights." And what's happening is he's just sort of making the issues, pushing things forward, and also being like super cool. So like he gets assassinated and does the manly thing and stands up like in
Yes.
active fire, stands up in the middle of it. That's appealing, and you're not going to get that kind of moment from Tim Walz for sure.
No.
But you're definitely not going to get it from. I would love to see like when that journalist got accidentally shot by Adam Kinzinger's friend, like that the journalists go like fight, fight, fight. Like that that guy's not going to do it.
No, he's
But yeah,
not.
like the gender war thing, I think yeah, it's just coming from the left because no, like JD Vance is not going like, all right, we're the guys team, like He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Right,
Um,
right. It's
yeah,
we're
it's
all
not coming from the
bros
campaign
here.
at all. Right, right.
Kamala is just such a DEI hire in every facet of this.
Yeah,
And Adam goes on to say, what we forget about Kamala is that most of her political career she's been untested. In California, where she became a U.S. senator, she ran unopposed. She didn't have to battle any Republicans for her seat in California. She made it onto the vice president seat, not based on merit or election process. She was picked, and now she's the Democratic Party's nominee, not because she out primaried somebody, but because she was once again selected. And he believes she's set up to fail, right? Because she's had to do this job in just a few months. Like, how could anybody possibly? They were cornered. They didn't think Trump would still be alive at this point, and
right.
they're just like, well, she'll get to keep all the money, so let's just push her.
Yeah.
It's
Do you
crazy.
think because there are some folks who say that they think that Kamala was put in place to lose on purpose because well they're not going to sacrifice the legacy of Joe Biden. Let's sacrifice the legacy of Kamala. What do you think about that?
God, you would like to think like to me, it just seems not very well thought out, which is crazy because they've had years to come up with a strategy and because I remember for a while I was like, oh, they're gonna throw in Big Mike. Are they they run Gavin Newsom? There's even rumors now that they might put in Hillary Clinton at the last moment. It just seems like why have they not done a better job coming up with a better candidate? But maybe they just thought, all right, well, we'll get Trump out of the picture, and then people will just be forced to vote for whatever we give them. They'll just be
Yeah.
forced to accept it.
I think what they did was that they wanted Biden out after the debate. And then after the assassination attempt, that was the nail in the coffin. We got to do this. But then they delayed it for as long as possible to try to find a way that could seem at some level legitimate that wouldn't be Kamala. So I think that's all the plan behind the scenes. Like they're all sitting around going like, how can we get Gavin in while making it seem legitimate? But the
Right.
seem legitimate part is just because the obvious answer is, okay, well then sub the vice president in. But yeah, I think that they really wanted to find a way to get somebody else in and then failed to do that. And then now are stuck with her thinking, well, at least she's going to be better than Joe Biden. I mean, come on, who could be worse at campaigning than Joe Biden is? Well, we found out.
This is an interesting comment from Junior in the chat. Joe Biden knew she couldn't win. That's why he picked her for VP. It's like if you knew she was weak, so maybe he didn't care about, because he probably figured, God, do you think he thought he was going to run for re-election? No, he's old as shit. Maybe he just wasn't thinking that far ahead. He probably was like, let me go with the DEI hire.
Well,
and
she's definitely, the DEI hire thing is for sure. But also and then turn around and Tim Walz becomes the first white male DEI hire where he's the diversity.
Right.
Like,
it comes back
bringing
around
diversity
again.
to the ticket. Yeah.
Let's try something new with this old white man. The slogan used to be "I'm with her," now it's "Stuck with her." That's great. They should make "I'm stuck with her" bumper stickers, Fealty. Yeah, it's weird to see Democrats panicking because it's like, didn't you guys have time? Like, didn't we all have so much time to think this out?
Yeah, but they also used to have all the levers of social media power, and
yes, that's right. And it's like, maybe this is how they've always been. They just had propaganda on their side and censorship.
They were just, they didn't have Elon, with like having the richest man in the world be on the other team is not what they're used to. But yeah, like opening up a huge hole in the propaganda wing that like they can't dominate anymore. So what you just said about like they're running ads on Twitter, but clips of JD Vance on Theo Vaughn are doing better than paid ads. Because of course, right? Like organic reach of something that people naturally listen to is going to do better than a campaign Dorito video. But the Dorito video, it got plenty of play as well, but for the wrong reasons. But yeah, like I think, like I said, Twitter being owned by our side is huge. And you saw how mad they got when Elon is now like paying people $1 million, like paying random people who sign a petition $1 million because they registered to vote and signed a petition. But it's like the Democrats are outspending the Republicans 3-1 everywhere. And
especially
like,
on
when Elon
social
does
media.
it, especially, exactly. And so like they used to be able to, I mean, back in 2020, Hunter Biden laptop story hits in October.
Oh my God, that was so annoying. I was like,
and you can't share
really? Really? We're saying that this is fake? Okay.
Right.
And
Well,
the
New York Post story, the New York Post story, you couldn't share the link for a week. But yeah, I don't know. I think the like flow of information that we've gotten through Elon, I don't know. I think in the history books, Elon buying Twitter is a bizarre
he deserves a Nobel Prize. It's not perfect,
totally.
but it's so much better. It's
Right.
at least giving people hope, and we can say retarded again, which is all I wanted.
Yeah,
really.
the top two things that that I love is hope and being able to say the word retarded. Yeah.
Free speech, namely the R word. Yes. Let me pull up this article. This is very interesting. Thank you to my producer, Fealty, working hard in the back. He sent me this article about, I guess, Kamala just claimed that Trump refused a CNN debate, and his staff said that it was because he was just too exhausted to do it. They're busy spinning. Let me pull up this Clippy. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There she is, looking exhausted. The joy is gone from Kamala. The joy. There's no more joy. They've beaten it out of her. Okay.
As for last night, yet again, Trump not showing up, refused to be a part of a CNN debate. And clearly his staff has been saying he's exhausted. And the sad part about that is he's trying to be president of the United States, probably the toughest job in the world, and he's exhausted. I said last night what I mean, which is the American people are being presented with a very serious decision. As for last night.
Wow. She sucks. She sucks so bad.
Oh, yeah. Did she say clearly his staff is saying that he's too exhausted? Or is that like, yeah. So I guess, is she guessing at that, or like, is that some kind of report?
Guessing.
I'd be curious to find. Yeah.
Whenever she says, let me be clear, she's about to pull something out of her ass.
Right,
Yep.
right. Yeah, it's basically but she also says so I guess it's something else. It's just a different translation. Yeah, I don't, it's bizarre also to think that, because she evidently, I don't know, I just saw this on Twitter, but that she refused to do Rogan, like she didn't do Rogan, and Trump said that he wasn't going to do.
Refused. Interesting.
At least that's what I saw. Again, with the Wild West of Elon's Twitter, I have no idea. I may have liked the tweet.
Can't.
Yeah.
What does Joe Rogan be like? Yeah, okay, I'll do 25 minutes with you, Kamala. Let's keep you comfortable.
Yeah, but yeah, she's going to run out of the like pre-selected focus grouped talking points, just like she does.
Wouldn't that
every
be
other
so
time.
great? Then they could finally break her down. Like, I would love to see her forced to do a 3-hour Rogan, and she has to drink an entire bottle of wine. I want to see like what that person has to say.
There we go. Yeah, as soon as she stops saying opportunity economy and just starts, like getting angry and yelling, that'd be great.
Yeah,
we all want that. But yeah, I guess the campaign is having to manage like, it would definitely be worse if she did it. It would definitely be worse. Okay, the numbers would be huge, but not great for us. That's another point about the podcast thing. Even when Kamala did the Call Her Daddy podcast, the numbers weren't great. Not even for her show. Like, they weren't among the best of her show. And like,
people
it wasn't
were upset. People were in the comments really mad. Like, why did you go political? And you could tell, like, Alex was really out of her comfort zone too. Like, she didn't enjoy talking to her. She's sitting there in heels and slacks with a hoodie, looking. I'm like, come on! I know you're Gen Z, but enough with the effing hoodies and the Crocs with the socks. Stop it. Grow up.
Yeah, I don't want to hear her talk about the issues. I'm sorry, I really don't. But
yeah, I would rather have Kamala on to talk about like BJ's, talk about what it was like to date Willie Brown, like but of course Kamala wouldn't go there. But that's the side of her you actually want to see, and that's the side of not that Trump is talking about BJ's, but like Trump is able to open up as a person on these podcasts while maintaining, like he's still a strong candidate, and he can talk about his policies too without needing cue cards and like buzzwords and shit.
Well, even the McDonald's thing, he was a guy who like knew it was bizarre that he was there, and that helps. So like him being in on the joke, oh, it's weird that I'm at McDonald's, helps that. Whereas like if any other politician would try to like make it look like, oh, this is normal, I actually know how to run the fry thing. This like, and whereas he was okay with asking questions and going like, oh, cool, oh, probably too much salt on that one. It's like, oh, that's great. It's like really charming and down to earth. I saw that you watched a lot of those clips. But yeah, like he knows, oh, this is not my home territory, but I'm going to be like charming Donald Trump here. And that's the way he is on podcasts. And it's also, I think folks can, I'm Southern, so I can say folks, but I think people can pick up on, and y'all, but I think people can pick up on the phoniness. And a podcast is a really great filter for phoniness. So like, how long did you see how long the Call Her Daddy podcast was with Kamala? Was that like an hour? Did it?
I remember
I'll have to look it up.
Most of it.
Yeah, I did not.
Was it an hour? Let me look it up. Let me see.
Yeah. But like being able to know, oh, I'm going to go into a territory. It's not hostile territory. Even if it's friendly, it's unstructured. And going on CNN, that's structured. There's some kind of comfort knowing, oh, there's a break coming up. So if I start to
Okay,
flounder, they can always say
44
commercial
with
time.
44 minutes was
Okay.
which is long.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. And
Well,
that's
yeah, and I
very
guess that's
friendly
as long as an hour-long TV show with commercials.
right, that's probably add in commercials, and
Yeah,
there was
that's
a
interesting.
clip that kinda went viral from her appearance on Call Her Daddy, like, "Can you name a piece of legislation?" And she's like, "I already know what you're gonna say, that regulates a man's body." And then everyone's like, the draft? COVID vaccine?
Yeah,
What about all that?"
right. Yeah. When I turned
And
18, I had to, like, sign a document that meant that they could, like, make me go die whenever they wanted to. Yeah, that is at least one law, at least one.
and Kamala, like, really, what was the point of her doing that? To just, "Look, it's me on a podcast?" Because she's kinda preaching to the choir. I imagine Alex Cooper's
Yeah,
already very left or politically sort of ambiguous or, neutral, I guess.
right.
They're not
Yeah.
listening to Call Her Daddy for
Mhm.
anything
Well,
politically oriented.
and back to Trump on Theo. What was great about that one is that he had just had Bernie Sanders on, and so it wasn't obvious that Theo was just there to stump for Trump or whatever. So it wasn't one of those celebrity endorsements, which is so cheap now. Not just that celebrity is cheap, but also
It
that,
is
like,
so cheap.
the
It's
actual
so
endorsement is.
It's so cheap and superficial compared to these podcast hosts who their fans know them. They've, like you said, watched hours and hours of them. They're not
Yeah.
trying to hide anything from their audience. And then you see like Lizzo or Eminem or
Mhm.
God, like Julia Roberts with like a Harris Walls hat, or they're like, you know, and you're
Yeah.
just like, this is
And
so fake. This is so opposite of where people seem to be moving towards.
But imagine, like, also from the host perspective or from the audience perspective of the host. So, like, if somebody has spent hours and hours and hours listening to Aiden Ross streams or whatever, or has again, I just listened to the JD Vance Theo one, so I've got Theo on the brain. But like, if somebody's listened to hours and hours of that person, they know if they just turned phony, or if they just, oh, this is a political thing, you must be uncomfortable, or you got pressured into doing this interview. I don't get that vibe from any of the places that JD Vance went on. Like the Full Send podcast had them both on. The Schultz podcast, that's just an episode of the podcast with that guest,
Mhm.
and the audience knows, oh, this isn't a very special episode. This is just a really good episode. I'm continuing the way that I kept going, and so I think the audiences can tell that. And you saw, I think even on the left, they don't want to watch the Call Her Daddy Kamala interview because they know that they're about to get really uncomfortable. So like, it's an episode that Kamala fans don't want to watch because they know, oh, this is not
No.
going to be good. And that Call Her Daddy podcast fans don't want to do because this isn't my show. This isn't the thing I listen to.
I would wanna hear her on that to talk about how she was like a huge hoe back in the
Yeah,
day, how it
right.
like
Montel Williams, right? Yeah.
how Montel
Let's
Williams
talk about
helped
that.
her career, her
Yeah.
red carpet appearances, how
Yeah.
she like, what brand of knee pads to buy,
Yeah.
what
I'm
kind
sure
of
she has like
lipstick won't wear off.
a
I wanna
promo
hear
code
about
for knee pads. I want to get that. Yeah. Promo
Yes.
code Kamala for knee pads. Yeah.
Come on. I wanna hear about like, be true to the actual podcast that you're on. But she
Yeah.
can't show that side. Why can't she show that side of herself? I think, like, a couple times maybe on The View before she had that horrible clip where she was like, "I wouldn't change a thing." She's like, "Oh, I'm always in sneakers." Like, that's the
Yeah.
best she can do.
Yeah. I am a human being. I have sneakers. Yeah. Yeah. And like
So fake.
the Doritos thing with her, like the sneakers thing, it's like obviously a choice she's making to seem normal. And the same with the Doritos thing. It's like she may actually like Doritos, but it's like trying to force that into a meme. Like why I keep hopping back to Trump at McDonald's because it makes me laugh so much.
'Cause it's
But
iconic and is
of course,
Dawn
yeah.
in McDonald's.
But him being there, everybody made fun of him for how much he loved fast food. So
Right, he ordered it to the White House many
we
times.
know it's not a phony thing that he's just like, I love McDonald's. Like, yeah, you do. Like that guy loves McDonald's, and everybody would make fun of like, oh, he served it to like the Super Bowl winners or something like that. or some kind of college football thing, and would eat KFC on his. I read at the Wall Street Journal or something like that had a like 1,000-word article about a picture of Trump eating KFC on Air Force One. And I was like, how do you get that much information? So they're like zooming in and going like, this is what he has in his pocket. It's like, and this is the letter that's sitting on his table. And so like, yeah, it has been established that he actually does like Americana, fast food. It may be, you know, huge corporation Americana, but that's Trump. It's like, that's 21st century America. And so he's like, he actually loves all of the things that still kind of unite America. Whereas Kamala has to pretend, Tim Walz has to put on the orange vest and walk around and pretend to load a gun.
Oh yeah, Kamala is like a $20 salad kind of person, and Trump is like, yeah, I'll eat a Big Mac and then fall asleep immediately after,
Yeah.
and then wake up 20 minutes later, and I'll be fully rested, ready to
Right.
be president.
Yeah, ready to, yeah, and then almost get
It's
shot and then
endearing.
jump up. Yeah, I mean the post assassination photo should have also been brought to you by McDonald's. It's like Diet Coke and McDonald's, just like,
Yes.
yeah, that's the energy it gives you.
He's
I want that commercial.
himself though. He like is he keeps it 100. I
Yeah.
love this clip. This is kind of, I guess this is after she had a little bit of like a press chat after her. I didn't even know there was going to be a town hall. I didn't know there was something that Trump just elected not to go to. But again, they're just spinning. Kamala Harris, when asked if the construction of a southern border wall would continue in your administration, sidesteps and pivots to her pledge to resurrect the bipartisan border bill. Oh God, what is she going to say now?
Night, but will construction of a southern border wall continue in your administration?
I will tell you that my highest priority is to put the resources into ensuring that our border is secure, which is why I've been very clear.
But how
I'm gonna
though?
bring back up as president that bipartisan border security bill and make sure that it is brought to my desk so I can sign it into law. The biggest issue that we have right now is that Donald Trump has stood in the way of what would have been a proven
But how? He hasn't been in office. You've been in office, Kamala.
part of the solution to the bigger problem, which is that we have a broken immigration system in America and we need to fix it. And we have the tools at hand, but we have on the other side of this election, Donald Trump would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. I intend to fix the problem in a way that is just about practical solutions that are within our arm's reach if we have the commitment to do it.
Yeah. This is all such bullshit because everyone, even someone who's not super political, can listen to this and go, you've been in office. If you've had the tools, why haven't you done it?
Yeah, if you watch her in her entire campaign, is Trump is the incumbent. And so if you didn't know any better, if you weren't living in the country for the last 4 years, you would take it as, oh, she's running against a really terrible incumbent that she thinks is just going to go to the next level next time, which at some level gives credence to Trump's 2020 theories that he really did win the election. But she's acting like he really did win the election, and that she's been sitting around waiting for the reins of power for all this time.
She acts like the underdog. She acts she's very tense. She's not dealing with the stress well.
Yeah. One thing you can't complain about with any Kamala speech, though, is the word count. She finds a way to really push it.
It's like the essays that we would do in like high school or college that had like a certain, you'd have to get to a certain word count, and you'd be like, just have long run-on sentences. And that is why it is, because it is that way. Job of the butt. You know, Kamala is lying when her mouth is moving. That's what he said. Original Hawk Tour girl. BJ's is something I really know about. We know it is, girl. Gollum's half botched circumcision left. Hi, 199. Thank you, Gollum. Interesting comments from the chat today.
Also interesting names. That's
yeah. Trump is crushing it in early voting. He's crushing it in all of the swing states. So it's like, okay, what are they gonna do? What's gonna happen?
Right.
Do you feel it's more or less secure to vote in person day of? I've been having this conversation with a lot of different people.
I don't know. I can see it both ways, but you said you talked to a lot of people about it. Have you reached your conclusion?
Some people, well, and by a lot of people, I mean, I discovered 2 people at my gym this morning. And so we have like a small little Trump gang at the gym.
Okay.
It's like, they're just gym classes, but it's, you know, it's in like Chappaqua area of
Okay.
Westchester. So anytime you find like a fellow Trumper, it's very exciting. And he was voting early, and he's like, "Oh, because I don't trust it on election day." I'm like, I feel like it's the other way around. But then
Sure.
again,
I
you
get,
never
because
know.
I get the thought that if somebody votes early, then you can calculate not that this would ever happen, YouTube. This never happened that there have been fake
No,
ballots or anything.
never.
Um,
It's very secure, very fortified.
but in dystopia, in crazy world where they make fake ballots, you can't, if somebody votes early, then they know how many fake ballots to make. I can see that argument. But I also understand the value
Wow.
of voting early, getting it in, and your vote doesn't get thrown in with everything. So like
Does it
you
get
can,
counted earlier, or does it get counted better, or does it get put to the side?
right.
And do
Yeah.
they not count those until later?
Or is the idea that like if we do the landslide early, if we just make the landslide early, then they'll have to call it on election night, because how in the world could they not?
Right.
So I don't know.
Right,
Maybe that's
because
the idea.
is voting early better because then it takes away from, well, we need 2 weeks to count all the votes if
Right.
you're in Maricopa County. But
Yeah. It is crazy. Yeah. That the idea is that elections have extended further and further forward and further backward at the same time.
yeah,
So you can vote earlier and you get the results later. I don't know. Yeah. Voting on election day, getting the results on election day.
it's
That's happened in my
stupid.
lifetime. Yeah.
You should just be going like physically going. Everyone gets the day off work or gets time off of their job to go and do this, unless you're super, super old
Hmm.
or retarded or
Yeah. Right.
I don't know,
Or both. Yeah.
or out of the country, then you do an absentee, right? But most people should be able to like physically get to a polling place at some point during the day.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think, do you think that it will be close? I mean, the polling most of the year has been 50-50. Who
It
knows?
never matters what I think. I'm just seeing like what I try to like watch both sides of the media to see like what they're both working on. And the left seems to be saying, God, it's really close, closest election ever. The right is starting to say, like, Trump's killing it in all of the swing states. It's going to be a landslide.
Right.
I mean, does it matter what I want? Everybody knows what I want.
Yeah.
I just am cautiously optimistic. Like, what else are they going to pull out? With 2 weeks to go, what could
I
they
think
possibly do?
what I'm trying to get is like a vibe of how the campaigns are acting. So if this campaign, if things really were 50-50, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know if Kamala would be this desperate. So like all of the last minute, what about this? What about this? I don't know if that would be happening if everything were actually close, or they're behaving as if it's worse. The internal polling
Yes,
stuff is
they
worse
really
than
are
50-50.
panicking.
And the Trump team is not acting like it's 50-50 at all. I mean, they're pushing, they're doing stuff, but they don't seem like they're clawing at the numbers. It seems like they're like out ahead of it and just sort of doing what they would normally do. And like even when they asked on Fox News, they asked Trump about his upcoming Rogan appearance, and he said, "Yeah, it's another podcast, and I it's big, and I'm excited to do it. And it's gonna be good." And it wasn't like this precious moment where he felt this pressure to like compliment Joe and how amazing he is and what a great interviewer he is. It was just he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be another interview just like this one."
Yeah. He's done podcasts, and everyone at this point, he is in a comfortable position because at this point, everybody knows who Trump is. I can't imagine there's anybody on the how retarded you have to be on the fence. Oh, gee, I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah,
Really? You don't know who Trump is at this point. You don't know what he's about. You,
I watched a little
you
bit.
haven't seen Home Alone 2? What's wrong with you
Yeah,
people?
he had name recognition in the 90s. Yeah, like 30 years before, or like 20 years before he ran for president. Um, did you? So I watched a little bit of that CNN town hall. At the beginning, the audience for that were like 16 undecided voters, which I assume are the only undecided voters in the world.
Left in the
Uh,
world. Yeah.
yeah, but like the criteria for that and the questions themselves were not hard. They were picked by CNN. Yeah, I don't understand how that could be. But always the media is going to be talking as if most of the country is undecided, because that keeps people watching.
That gives them room to pull shenanigans too.
Right.
If they say
Yeah.
it's really close.
Right. Everybody wants to watch a close game. Nobody wants to watch. If your team is losing really, really bad, then you're going to turn off, because like, well, it's not going to turn around in the last, in the last 3 minutes of the game.
I don't know. It's fun to watch the Yankees get 10 runs in a row. It's
yeah.
I don't know.
What if you're rooting for the other team? Then
right.
you're just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just start rooting for rooting for
right.
Trump
They
now.
have to keep the Democrats delusional enough, right? Because the news is all about we're going to make you afraid, or we're going to make you think you have to be prepared. So you got to keep watching. So they're going to make them feel like you got to stay tuned. It's real close, because they don't want to lose their viewers. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so
they
squirrely.
definitely, back to the COVID thing we talked about a little bit, during 2020, there was this time where I think all of the media was using its last breath of credibility, and they knew that they had to push as hard as they possibly could to get Trump out of office. I don't think they have any plays left, and they're showing that with the Trump is Hitler thing. It's like, oh, this guy who has already lied about Trump now says Trump is Hitler and liked Hitler. I'm sorry for mentioning Hitler on your podcast, but
well, not the first, won't be the last. No.
Yeah. But they have got no new plays. It's all just Keith Olbermann monologues from 2015. And
yes.
And
just
we're expected.
Angry.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all the cry. They have been crying wolf for 9 years. At a certain point, people just don't come to help.
They've been comparing him to Hitler for years. So I don't know what good that's going to suddenly do. Someone then decided, wait a minute, he's like Hitler? Oh, hold the phone. Let me vote for the completely unqualified cackling whore. Let's do that.
And they also act like he wasn't president for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. So, and that things were not so obviously better.
Right.
For
everybody. And so
if
he was going to be
life.
Yeah, they told us the entire election that he was going to be Hitler when he got into office in 2016, but he wasn't. And then, he wants back in office. But this time we're serious. He really is going to be. And the best case for that, I guess, is that he fired 3 generals. But anyway, people are. No,
he's not like Hitler. He could never fit into one of those uniforms.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Come on. People. He has Heil-proof suits. They won't let his arms go up to. Except for Hugo Boss, I imagine.
Right.
The Spec says, love Wade. Thanks for having him on. Have a nice one.
Well, thank you, the Spec.
We got Wade's in the chat. I remember a long, long time ago on the first computer our family had, I don't know if it was a Commodore. It was a Gateway. That's right, because it came in a cow printed box. And there was some kind of software on there where you could make greeting cards. And I was very into that. And we had the printer that would print slowly one line at a time and be
cool.
And it would take an hour to print something. I was making a card for somebody in my family, and and I didn't realize when they have the template and you're supposed to go in there in Microsoft Word or whatever and write your own name or write your own message. I never did that. I just printed the birthday card or the
template.
I think it was a template. It was a graduation card or something.
Okay.
I think I gave it to my sister, and I didn't proofread it, of course, because I was a kid, but I didn't know until she's reading it. So she's reading the card. Oh, really proud of you. So I'm just gonna say congratulations, Wade. And she was like, congratulations, Wade. And I was like, oh fuck. I'm that was the template name. And I had not heard the name Wade until now. And that was probably
great. I am the Microsoft Word version, or the human version of a Microsoft Word template.
Maybe that was 30 years ago. It was so long ago. There's been no Wade since.
Yeah, it's a English name, and then I think that it became popular in the South, where there were a lot of English families coming in. So there aren't a lot of Wades. I'm in the North now. I'm up in Idaho, but not a lot of Wades up here. So.
Idaho? Why are you in Idaho?
So I moved up here to work at a company called Canon Press. It's a publisher, a Christian publisher, and so I came up to work on video stuff, and that's where I do my show with them. So they employ me, and I get to make a show as part of my job. which is very fun. So it's good people. People have enjoyed for a long time, and good community up here. Like I said earlier before we started, I have 4 kids, and so like having good
Aw.
schools and having a good church and good community. It's
A
been
lot
really
of
fun.
potatoes.
A lot of
Yeah.
potatoes. Yeah, exactly. It's more potatoes than people for sure.
You do sound like Matt Walsh. Do you get
Okay.
that a lot?
Yeah, I think we're both Anglo guys with glasses and a beard, and
If I
with
just close
baritone
my eyes and
voices.
listen to you, you sound more than you look like Matt Walsh.
Okay, I can see
You could
that.
do an
Yeah,
impression.
I need to figure out a Matt Walsh impression. That would probably be a good thing.
Be him for Halloween. Just darken your beard.
Yeah.
And what is a woman? It's
Yeah, I don't know what I'd change. I would just show up.
It would be a
Like name
very easy
tag, I guess.
costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sells I think on the Daily Wire website he has his own brand of shirts
Oh, okay. See, I'll get one of those.
that he sells, and I have his he has a children's book called like Johnny the Walrus. It's about like
Oh, right. Yeah.
it's like it's an underlying trans themed book. Very cute. I read it to the bean. The bean
Okay.
is what I call my baby.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was did you see, so like the trans kid book made me think of this. Did you see the Saturday Night Live sketch called The Castrati?
No.
No. Okay. So it's the least self-aware sketch I've ever seen on that show. It's a sketch about 500 years ago, the castrati who could sing. And it's basically a couple of parents who come in, and what we would call it now is like want to trans their kid. And they have trans their kid, and people are like, "What? You like cut the kid's nuts off?" And it's this bizarre thing where they wrote this entire sketch, rehearsed it, aired it, and it is not self-aware at all. And of course they do the
Oh God. Who is Oh, it's Ariana Grande. Okay.
Ariana Grande, yeah. So she plays the little boy who can now sing high forever. And everybody's like, "Oh, this is creepy," and he obviously doesn't want this. And why have you done this to your child? And now he can, like, but you go, all right, this is not just like a weird trivia piece from like Renaissance Italy. We're doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a joke. It's actually happening. I
right.
always am amazed when I hear stories of detransitioners who are already like 20 years old, and I go, man, we've
Yeah.
been just pulling this bullshit for this long already that we can have a
Right.
20-year-old trans kid. Whew.
Yeah. So that must have been like, is it the first wave? Like when did that even start?
Must be.
I don't know.
Right. If a 20-year-old
If they're like,
see.
"Oh, I
There was
started puberty blockers when I was like
12,
11."
right?
Yeah,
You're
sure.
11, so that takes us to like 2013. This really started in
I don't
2013.
know.
I'm blaming Obama.
Yeah. And like, cause as soon as Obergefell happened, like as soon as gay marriage was became the law of the land, I think the next issue was the trans issue. And
Mm.
so I think that probably the social push on that, like that was the Caitlyn Jenner year. The social push on that
Oh,
became
yeah.
huge that year. Of course, Caitlyn Jenner is not the best example now because they're not as excited about Caitlyn Jenner.
No, Caitlyn Jenner doesn't vote correctly, so
No.
Caitlyn Jenner got pushed out for Elliott Smith, and then Elliott Smith got pushed out for Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah,
just
they can only have
can't
one
They can't
icon.
find a trans to act right. Yeah. Now Dylan is aging. It's not good. Ooh, okay. Let's see a clip of Tim Walz calling Trump Hitler. He's
Great.
so unhinged. To me, he just looks like John McCain with a red face with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I do want to see
"Haven't
his
you seen
medication
this
list.
guy?" Yeah.
Lipitor is definitely in there.
Viagra.
Look, I don't say this lightly because I didn't, in my 60 damn years, I didn't think I'd ever see a candidate for president praising Adolf Hitler's generals
Come
or
on.
talking about using the military against their enemies. And I mean, it's pretty stunning. And I said, look, I recognize I'm on the top of his list, but don't kid yourself. You're somewhere on that list too if you disagree with these people. That's who they
What?
are. Look, I don't say this lightly.
I love the like tone. Also, he's still doing the G Willikers tone, where he's like, well, "Gee Willikers, we got to stop Hitler." Like, I don't know if any general
You
or
kind of
somebody
sound
was
like a victim.
right.
Oh, gee, he's out there.
Yeah. Oh no, he's
Good
gonna come hurt
Lord.
me. Well, we got to stop him. Like, and vote for me. The like, I'm a big knucklehead. Make me, I'm the knucklehead's gonna go stop Hitler.
I'm just a lovable knucklehead. And here is Kamala again making a Hitler reference.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star
She's so
general,
boring.
confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military.
Maybe he was if he said it at all, could have been commenting on their work ethic, could have
Yeah.
been that they're in great shape, they're not like
That's
trans,
that's also a funny joke. Like if you're
Yeah.
if the generals won't listen to him, they'd be like, I don't know, I could probably use one of those guys like Hitler had. Like that's a joke. And like what I mean, Gavin McInnes talked about this where they would like take his references from a show, like that were obviously like said in a certain tone, and then quote it as if it's like, wow, and then he said this. I don't know, like it's because Trump is an entertainment figure, you have to read him and hear these quotes that they're doing, like assuming the entertaining voice is going along with it. But if you take it, like you remove the context, put it in text, and say it in the Kamala Harris, I'm very concerned voice, then it becomes scary, scary stuff.
Very
That
scary.
is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military
she's
that
wearing-
is loyal to him.
She's wearing those earrings again that give her the answers.
He wants a military
Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler, Trump is
loyal
Hitler.
to him
Yeah.
personally. One that will obey his orders even when he
They're
tells them
so
to
afraid. Like, why are they so afraid? Especially the celebrities. They're so like, oh God. Or are they just flipping the script of, when Trump said, like, hey, I'm just standing in your way. Like that was a
Right.
pretty well-known quote that went viral. It's like, are they just mimicking him or they're truly like, oh no, he's gonna figure out what we did, or he knows what we did.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before, but I think that I think right now the presidency as like written down in the Constitution doesn't exist. It's like everybody's like, oh, if Joe Biden's not running the country, who's the real president? I don't think there is a president. I think the system can kind of function without
Mhm.
one guy. And so Kamala at some level is running for that office for the, like, I go make appearances, I make the speeches, and they shuttle me around. I just try to act charming.
The
Eat my,
poster
like,
boy. Yeah.
yeah, and Biden had his ice cream. I'll have my Doritos. Everything will be great. But but Trump is actually running for president. So there are two people, one running for a kind of fake office that's a figurehead,
Right.
and then Trump's running for president, and that's what bothers them. They're like, oh, because
Yeah.
really, I don't know if we've had a president in a while, and I don't know when that started, but like it may have been Biden, it may have been earlier. There are the people who say like we haven't had a actual president since Kennedy was assassinated. I don't know, but
Wow. I believe
everybody's
it.
just. I think there's the president itself, like the presidency has weakened for a very long time. And yeah, Trump actually running for and saying, I'm going to act like a president. I'm going to do the things a president does. I think that's what scares them most is, and of course, because they're going to call that authoritarian. Being a president in the way that if somebody were as powerful as FDR was now, they would call that person Hitler, even though that FDR was like fighting to like kill Hitler. So
and
like
in a wheelchair.
yeah, and I'm not an FDR fan, but it's like, okay, he was a president, right? And so if Trump acts like that, or like Andrew Jackson or one of these guys who took on more power and took a little bit more initiative. Yeah, I think that's what's going on, is that we've got two people running for very different offices, both called president.
Two very different jobs. Kamala's probably so pissed that she has to do interviews at all. It's like, I'm not running this. I'm not running shit here. I put on a pantsuit. I get my hair done. It's very stressful for me, but
yeah,
I've been sort of cornered into this.
You can see the stress. It's that's the sad thing is like if you get the job, you're going to have to do more interviews. You're going to have to do more speeches. But she's doing fine with the read off the card stuff.
Oh yeah, she's so coached, and you can tell she has a lot of Obama's and Hillary's kind of like mannerisms now.
Yeah.
They have like side by sides of like her and Hillary, and like just
Yeah.
like the way she uses her voice and her movements and like
Yeah.
the buzzwords. It's very similar.
You can see, yeah, she's basically like a non-entity, except when she's nervous. So like,
Mm,
so when she gets nervous, then you're like, oh, there's a person underneath all those, like trying to do an impression of a politician. There's a person under there that's really scared of looking dumb on CNN. But
yes, and she
with
forgets
all
to
of
do the
this,
thumb thing.
right, right, yeah. So like when she's not remembering doing the thumb thing and like starts to flounder, then you're like, oh, there is a person, a very scared person, a very evil person, but back there, way back there.
What would she talk about if there wasn't Trump? If she
Right?
wasn't
Yeah, I know.
the anti-Trump candidate?
Right. Yeah, and the close, because like she's pushed like abortion, I think, is the only issue that she's really talked about.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, it's like opportunity economy. I was raised in a middle class family,
Yep.
and all that in answer to every question that isn't about women's rights or whatever. Yeah, and again, that turns it more and more into the gender war election, which it doesn't have to be. Like I think we will find out that yeah, I will be fascinated to read all of the like demographic breakdown after the fact. I for one am relatively optimistic. I've gotten more optimistic about Trump's chances just in
Good.
the last
Okay.
few days.
I'm nervous still, but
You're nervous still? Okay. What makes you most
uh,
nervous?
because I'm just cynical and I just
Yeah.
yeah, 2020 like really like broke my heart, and I feel like I just woke up to so much, and it's enough to make you kind of black pilled, but
Yeah.
that's not at the end of the day, like, yeah, if God wants Trump to be president, he will make it so, and it's kind of like if it's meant to be, it'll be. And
Right.
if if the real votes can outweigh the shenanigans.
Mhm.
And you would think too, I think the Republicans have really wised up. I think there have been more efforts to register more Republicans
Yeah.
from people like Scott Pressler.
Mhm.
So I think they're definitely like they're wise to the ways in which were used against us 4 years ago.
Did you see
So
John Oliver did a segment about election, what he called, I forget what it was, but about like election interference stuff. And one of his points that he was terrified of was that there were 70 what he called like MAGA conspiracy theorists or whatever, 70 of them across 6 swing states working as poll people or working as like election county level election officials. And it was like there are thousands of those across those states, and he's mad about 70 guys. But like that's probably, I don't know how many we had in 2020. I don't know how many like
hmm,
Trumpers. And I'm sure that the thousands of other people, I'm sure those people just couldn't care less who's president. But let's assume these are the only people who really care. Yeah, it's just bad when Republicans do it because they're not experts. They're the conspiracy theorists. But I think there are more poll watchers. I think that's going to happen. And
yeah,
back in 2020, one thing that people don't really talk about too much is the distance that poll watchers had to stand because of social distancing.
right,
So like
right.
it's a great way to go like, yeah, you're technically here poll watching, but COVID means that you can't really watch. You have to stand over there and we'll give you a thumbs up if everything's going good.
And now we can cough all over each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, paradise.
That's what I like to do. Good. Okay. I like that you're a little bit more optimistic about this, Wade. I'm picking up on it. I'm feeling better about things. I like the cut of your jib. I like your YouTube channel. I'm gonna put it up now so people can subscribe to you. You're the Wade Show with Wade. And I always feel like where there's a Will, there's a Wade. That should be the name.
Yeah.
If you ever do another show.
I have a brother named Will, so that actually works. Yeah,
What?
I know. It's crazy.
Is
Yeah.
he older?
He's younger. Yeah.
What is a
So,
Wade? Wade?
yeah.
Oh
I
my
got that
God.
one growing up quite a bit, which is great.
Okay. Well, I'm
Um,
not original then.
no. It was, you didn't know that my brother's name was Will, so um, yeah.
Wow. So is everybody in your family named W?
No,
Is
I
there
have
a
a brother
Walter, a
named
Wanda?
Will, and a sister named Melody is her name. I feel bad for now having said her name, but she has a different last name now. She got married, so it's
Yeah.
so they can't look
Don't go
up her
looking
name.
for her. Don't
No,
bother
no.
Wade's sister. She's just trying to live a regular life,
Absolutely.
not on YouTube.
Right.
I'm just gonna
Anyway.
call her Wanda. Yes. or Wilma or
Yeah, there we go.
Wakanda.
That's what I should have done. I always admire the people who like could keep coming up with new names. I know people who had several kids with themes that go through it. Mine don't have really themes, but yeah.
You mean like all flower names or something like that?
Yeah, or they would be like, "Oh, this is I'm gonna name this child after like everyone's a Bible name or everyone's and like it's pretty soon you run out of like normal sounding
Everyone's
names,
a
and so you're just
street
picking
from Monopoly or something.
right. Yeah, yeah, and that's cool, But I just kind of said I like the sound of that name. I think that'll work.
Yes, it's good. I like you're a good Wade.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Everyone subscribe to Wade Show with Wade on YouTube. Everybody follow him on Twitter at Wade Stotts. What kind of name is Stotts?
It's Scottish,
Cool.
I believe. And then Wade, I said it's English earlier, but it's a Welsh name. So I'm
right.
an Anglo Southerner. That's me.
I'll call you Matt
Yeah.
Welsh.
Great.
Okay.
Please.
I'm done.
Please.
No more jokes. Thank you, Wade. Any other final thoughts?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to see what's coming up. I'm working on trying to figure out what I'll be doing election night, but my hope is that we'll be able to call it early and that nobody will even have to go live because we called it at 5 p.m. Eastern and everything's great.
That would be so great.
Yeah,
that won't happen.
We'll see. That's what I'm rooting for.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you to the chat for your comments and questions. You guys were pretty good today. Pretty well behaved. Appreciate you guys, as always. Everyone follow Wade and not his sister. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.